Oh, sorry, everybody. Technical difficulties today. My computer, right as I hit go live, decided to boot me out of StreamYard, so I'm logging back in on there. So I guess that's how we're going to start out. Flawless streams yesterday. I streamed for 5 hours. I had zero problems, and now of course we're going to have issues. So welcome to the show tonight. We got a great show planned. We're going to talk with Sam Vera about his inspirations in comics and all that fun stuff. But hey, what's going on, Trish? Good to see you here. So we're going to start off with our uh, wow sponsors. My brain is fried today. Sorry, guys. I've been working on Step Pool commissions since like 11 o'clock in the afternoon. So we're going to start off with the sponsors. We got Melone Management with Lisa Malone. Do you have a project that you're running or a project that you're getting ready to run? Then hit her up and she can help you out. Do you need somebody to help find stretch goals, do the stretch goals for you? Then check out Melone Management. We also have 183 Degree Studios with Alfred Trujillo, Doobie Doobie Doo, and Kara Nicole. Check out Firebitch 2, which is on Indiegogo on demand, still live right now. So please check that out. And check out AZ Power Girl. Also, both of their Patreons are up above. Next, we have Codex Entertainment LLC. Check out Lily Demons Chapter 5, dropping this summer, as well as Whispers in Necropolis, Nebula Pearl, which is their most recent Kickstarter, and Ace and Starlit. So we look forward to Lily Demons Chapter 5 coming out later this summer. We also have Naughty Fairy Stripper Assassins number 5, which is live right now. The link is in the description. You can also get on there and go to Backer Kit. If you missed out on Naughty Fairies Con 2.0 earlier this year, then you can still order books from that and all the awesome covers that are available for it. Outpost 426 Studios with Michael Shoemaker and CB Zane. They have Black Rabbit coming out later this year, which looks phenomenal. I can't wait. They've been posting teasers everywhere, as well as the Might standalone that will be coming out and the new Into the Suck spinoff series. Also, we have DPopp Customz. Last of all, do you have a print that you need jazzed up? It's sitting in the closet collecting dust, and you want to make it look awesome? Hit up DPopp Customz. Get your own custom lit cabinet frame, whatever you need for that print. Show it off. Metal, regular. Do you have a comic book? He's even doing those now. And pretty soon, he'll be doing figurines as well. So, and that pretty much does it for sponsors. So without further ado, we're going to bring out Sam Vera. What's going on, man? I was trying to boot my computer while I'm doing that, and then I forgot like what the word was for sponsors. Like my brain, like as soon as something goes down, it just shuts your brain down. You're like, oh my god, my computer's down. I don't have any way to do this stuff, and so I'm like, all right. So now I'm multitasking and my brain logging back in, but I'm back. So
we're good. I fired my engineer Herb because of the same problems.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we fired him at least 100 times. This time I walked him to the bus stop.
Oh, I know how that is, man. It's crazy, but hey, we're gonna have a good show. We're gonna have fun anyway. We just derail from the start. That's the great way to start off the show. Just right off the rails. So how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Been busy. Doing good.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I was so excited to hear you guys were launching Catch the Craze. We talked to George Medina several weeks ago, and we talked about the project, and he kind of briefly explained what it was about a little bit. And I was like, this sounds freaking hilarious. And so I'm excited. You guys are 2 days in, you're funded, and that's great. So we'll talk about the project a little bit later. We'll bring it up and show you guys, a little bit about it and some of the really cool covers that they're offering this time for 1, 2, and 3. But we want to get to the meat of the subject. Who is Sam Vera and why comics? How did this start out for you?
Who is Sam Vera? I can't talk too much because the IRS is following. I'm just joking.
Vera Sam.
It's exactly right. Yeah. So man, I've been drawing since I was a kid, and I've been drawing, and I'm going to date myself. I've been drawing way back when Captain Kangaroo was on TV. so it's been a while, and I remember we used to have those big giant television sets that was as big as a sofa. And they used to have these plastic screen protectors that you would take it off, these big things. And as a kid, when you watch Captain Kangaroo, you have to help them get across the bridge and all that stuff. So you take your marker and you draw on the TV screen, all that stuff. And I was a big fan of the Muppets and Fraggle Rock,
Heck
and
yeah.
and Star Wars and the Black Hole and anything sci-fi related, anything fantasy related, Fire and Ice. I mean, it was just the Last Unicorn, the Dark Crystal. All those things were just big inspirations for me. And I was always a copy artist, so I would draw what I saw, and it
But
wasn't.
just different. You weren't a trace artist, so everybody, get your panties in why he didn't like stick the paper over it and trace it.
No, I was a
He's a
copy
copy
artist.
artist.
Yes, and then I was about 12 or 13 years old. I think about 12. Um, and my mom's boyfriend at the time said to me, "You'll never amount to a real artist because all you do is copy. Real artists create from the hair, from the mind." Oh man, the things I said about that man. I mean, he broke my heart. But then I was like, you know what? I forced myself to try to draw. What's up, Jer? What's up, Georgie? And I forced myself to try to draw. Um, and I realized, my anatomy was crazy. I had these big oversized heads with these little bodies, and these limbs that just didn't look right. But I kept at it, and I kept at it, and I started creating my own world, and I created Cosmic Gorf. And my influence of Cosmic Gorf was from Cosmic Cow, from Too Close for Comfort, and Alf. Those were the influences behind
Oh
me.
man,
I ended
Al.
up with. Yes, I have every episode. I have every comic book. I have the stuffed doll up there.
Alf was awesome. I
yes,
loved Alf when I was a
oh
kid.
man, he's the best. So and that's when it started. I created Cosmic Gorf, and he didn't look anything that he looks like when I created the book Cosmic Wars. It evolved over time, but that's how I started out.
That's awesome. So you started out with drawing, and you love the sci-fi stuff. So by the way, speaking of black hole, anytime you see like a red robot, you don't get like freaked out still, do you?
Nah.
That's always something that everybody always brings up. That when we were kids, you'd see those red robots, and it's just like, wow, that's pretty scary stuff.
The only thing that spooks me are the scary movies. I'm not big into like horror movies. I remember as a kid, my brother took us to go see The Fog when I was a kid, and when we left the theater, it was dark and it was foggy. Oh man, it was horrible. I mean, I panicked all the way home. I was crying. It was horrible. I said, "Why would you take me as a kid to go see the damn Fog?" It's because he was taking his girlfriend, so and he had to babysit us, so he took us with him.
Oh man,
yeah, it was horrible. But
there's something in the fog.
Yes. When you watch it now, like, what was I scared of? But back when I was a kid, what?
Yeah, and it's funny, we watched Black Hole because when Disney Plus came out, we hopped on board and they had like all of that stuff on there. I was like, oh man, Black Hole, I haven't seen that in like 25 years. Yes. And so we watched it, and I laughed the whole time. I was like, "What? Why were robots so scary back then?" Yeah. I mean, I guess because it was something new. We didn't have anything back in the day that was advanced technology. Like if we had a computer, it was like the size of the 60-inch TVs are now. Yes. And it would take 10 minutes to load up just so you could play lights off on it.
I think now because of technology, we're so conditioned to what's next, right? So I don't think there's anything is going to be a shock factor until an iRobot walks into your house and looks like a human being.
Yeah,
like, oh damn.
Oh man, yeah, that's gonna be scary.
Yes.
Well, because there's so many movies. There's iRobot, and then there's that one with oh man, I can't think of the name of it. It was a great movie. It had Bruce Willis in it, where they lived in that futuristic world where they like sat in those visors and they walked around with robot companions that looked like them. I can't think of the name of it. That was an insane movie too.
That was an old movie.
What's that?
Your movie was an older movie.
I want to say it was like early 2000s.
I think I know what the name of the movie is. Was he a taxi cab driver? In the future, I mean, he was.
No, I think you're thinking of The Fifth Element. No,
that's what I was thinking about. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll have to look it up.
Even George thought the same thing. I thought it was The Fifth Element.
Yeah, no, this is gonna make me make me have to look it up. So, because dude, there's nothing worse than when you can't think of something.
Well, you had that one with Arnold Schwarzenegger where what was it? Where
Total Recall.
no, the one where they cloned his wife.
Oh yeah,
That one, that was crazy. And that's what we're headed to. If you watch what's happening in Japan with the technology, they have the skeleton of the robots. They're just working on the exterior to make them look like human.
that's insane.
It's crazy. We're trying to replace ourselves. That's just crazy. But anyway, I'm gonna be Will Smith the whole way through. But it's crazy.
So you got into drawing with that. So when did you like first really make your entry into like comics and the whole podcast thing when you guys started Catch the Craze?
The comics started. I was in the music business and independently, and we created. It was Crazy Skills Productions, which is the production group, and then I had this, huge vision of an empire, Crazy Media Group, which I own the company, the LLC, and Crazy Media, and there were going to be divisions, and Crazy Comics was a division of Crazy Media Group. And I was going to run the comic book division, and then Crazy Skills Productions, my partner was going to run the music side, and then it was all these different divisions. And I mean, I have the pie chart and the org chart and everything. I was young, but I had these grandiose ideas, and so I was always we were writing scripts, and I started the original crew was pre George and Anibal. I worked with a lot of different guys over the years. And our first book was The Book of Wrath and Execution to Die For and Tales of an Assassin. Those were the 3 books we were working on. And then, things fell through and everybody went in separate ways. And then I met up with George at the School of Visual Arts. I was taking continuing education classes for credit, and we were in a life drawing class. And it wasn't really much fun because most of the models were all male. So I was like, oh, gosh. So, George and I started talking, and he had these little comic booklets. It looked like Wonder Duck. It was a duck character. And then we started talking about working together. And that's how that happened. And so I had a connection with a friend of mine who was able to provide full gloss color printing for us, and I think we were paying pennies on it was amazing what we got for what we were paying for. He really hooked us up, but the catch was, I think we were paying $1 a book to print, but we were getting it. We had to staple it and fold them ourselves. So that was the deal. So we would get these big stacks, and then, we're on the floor either in my apartment, or if we're on the road to conventions, we're just folding and stapling. And we got this big giant stapler, and it was crazy stuff. So we wanted to do a convention, and but we didn't have money. We were broke, and so I went over to Big Apple Comic Con. It was me, George, and I forgot who else. It was 3. We went over to Big Apple Comic Con to talk to Michael Carbonero, and I did this piece promoting Big Apple, an art piece. So I get his middleman, and he's like, I said, you think we can get a table, blah, blah. He says, well, it's going to cost you this. No, but we can get a free table. And it's like, oh, you're crazy. He's like, you got to talk to Mike. So it was 3 of us, yes, because a guy named John, and it was John who knew Mike, or the guy, or his middleman. So we get to Michael Carbonero. I don't know if you ever met Michael Carbonero. He's like very he has a short attention span, and he's very high strung, and he's all over the place. So I'm like, hey, how you doing? He's like, who are you? I said, I'm here for a table. Oh, it's gonna cost you this much. I said, no, you don't understand. He goes, I said, I was gonna talk to you about a table. Yeah, I just told you. Well, go talk to him. I said, no, but he told me to talk to you. It was just back and forth, right? So I finally got his attention. I said, can you look at this? He's like, you did this? I said, yes. That's my show. I said, yeah, I know. He goes, you did this? I said, yes. He goes, can you do this again? I said, yes. If you do this again, I'll give you a free table. That's how it happened. So we started doing ads for the Big Apple Con, and he would hook us up with a table. And that was our first entry into the space. And so our first show, it was Rush 5377 by George and Cosmic Wars that I created. And there was 6 of us. It was me, my wife, George's girlfriend at the time, um, Robert Nunez, and his fiance at the time. And so we were all get up. We had our Crazy Comics gear on. We had a banner behind us. We had a table, and we had full gloss color comic books, and we were the belle of the ball. Everybody was like eating it up, and we felt like superstars. It's so much so that Brian Polito came up to us. The actor from Star Wars came up to us. Everyone was like, and the promoters like, you guys have a permanent spot with us. I said, yeah, you guys are good for the business. And so we thought we're gonna be the next image. So that was the worst thing that could happen to my ego was that event, because oh man, it really put us on cloud 9. And so that's how that happened. That was our entry, and we became a staple at the Big Apple, and we have a loyal New York fan base, which was constant, which was awesome. But we put unnecessary pressure on ourselves back then.
Did you have uniforms at the first con?
Yes, I have pictures. It's not uniforms, all right, buddy. It's just branded tees.
And for those of you that were wondering what the name of that was, it was called Surrogates. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's pretty insane.
Okay.
So yeah, that's awesome though. You guys had full gloss, full color books, and
everyone was like,
$1 a book.
Doing it. The funny story from that was this young actor, it was a young kid. I didn't even know he was an actor. Young kid comes over to the table and he says, "Can you tell me about Cosmic Wars? What's it about?" I said, "Well, if you're a fan of Star Wars and if you're a fan of Fraggle Rock and blah, blah, you're gonna love this." And he walks away, and then George's like, "That's the young Boba Fett." The actor. I was like, I knew he looked familiar.
That's great. If you're a fan of Star Wars, you just shot him down. You just blew his freaking mind. He's like, bro, I was in Star Wars. Like, that's the worst diss ever. I was in Star Wars, and am I a fan of Star Wars? I was a freaking actor in it, man.
I know. That was the best part of it. I was like, oh man, I feel like a heel.
Yeah, that kid will never play in a movie again now.
No.
Great way to go. Way to go, Sam. You just ruined them for life.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, we got this awesome part for you. No, I'm good. Why do you mean you're good? You did great in Star Wars. Well, you see, I walked up to this guy at the Big Apple Comic Con.
He destroyed my career.
And he just destroyed my career. I was like, hey, what's this book about? And he was like, oh, if you're a fan of Star Wars.
He's sitting on a therapist chair right now.
He's got it on a freaking one of those wall slogans like you see where it's like live, laugh, love. It says, if you're a Star Wars fan, you'll love this book. He's got it quoted on the wall.
That's horrible.
That's right. And he never worked again. That's right. Oh man. It's so funny whenever you meet people, like you love their work and like you read all their books and you like run into them at a con somewhere and you're just like, hey, they talk with you for like 25 or 30 minutes and then they walk away and then somebody's like, you know who that was, don't you? Yeah. You're like, no, why? Who is that? And they're like, oh, that was so-and-so. And you're like, what? I've like read every book they've ever had.
That wasn't the first time either. What's that actress's name from Boys Don't Cry?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen that.
Something Swank. Hilary Swank.
Oh, Hilary Swank.
Hilary Swank. So I was in security. I was a security manager at the time. And at a high-end retail store, and we were closing down, and I have the keys to close the doors, and we were just letting people out, but we weren't letting anyone in. And here's this woman coming in. I just have something to get. I said, no, we're closed, ma'am. She goes, but it'll only take me a minute. I said, if I let you in, I have to let everybody else in. Unfortunately, I can't. She goes, we're real pleased. Sorry, ma'am. We'll open tomorrow. Blah blah blah. So I walk away on the earpiece. Sam, you know who that was? I was like, what? Did I? Hilary Swank. I was like, damn. Familiar.
And he said right after that, he met Stan Lee and asked him if he liked superheroes. Oh my gosh. Like, can you imagine that probably happened at one point? That like somebody just randomly walked up to him at the con and be like, excuse me, old man, are you lost?
That would be me because I froze. I had an opportunity to interview Stan Lee and I froze. And I didn't take up the that was the one regret I had. It's like I didn't react to it. I froze.
So wait a minute, we got to back this up. So what's the story behind this?
I already spoke to his people. It was at the New York Comic Con. I was gonna interview him, but I couldn't even speak. I just became numb. I was like, "Oh, forget this." I walked away. I got scared, and from that point on, I said, "Never gonna allow myself to let that happen again." Yes, true story. True story.
Oh man, I'm telling you, Mark. I after all these stories he's been spitting here, it wouldn't surprise me. But man, that I can't say that I probably wouldn't do the same thing. I mean, I'm kind of scared because Monty Michael Moore, I have him on Tuesday, and like I'm a huge fan of his art, and he's like a high end artist, and like I'm like, what am I doing? I'm having Monty Michael Moore on. I'm like totally like.
Really, really cool guy.
He's a really cool guy. He's
Really
really
cool guy.
awesome. And
Yes.
his sculptures and his art is just phenomenal.
Fantastic. One of our best interviews. He is such a cool cat. It's unreal. Really enjoyed, I told him I'm going to hit him up when I'm out in Denver next time. But yeah, really, really cool cat.
Yeah, but I'm going to be like, I don't normally fangirl over anybody, but like, Monty's like, a high end to me, kind of like Stan Lee's type guest,
Oh no, I get it. I get it because another true story was again I was in security and they were filming random hearts in our building with Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
And Sidney Pollack was the director of the movie. I believe that's his name, who passed away. So I'm on the set. They're in our building. It's a luxury retail environment. So the building's closed. They have full access to the building. So the director calls me over because I have to inspect the prop gun. So I go and I'm looking at it, and so I hear, "Is everything okay?" And I look up. I was like, "Oh shit, it's Han Solo." And I was like, "Oh shit, Harrison Ford standing right in front of me." And all I could think was, Han Solo. I said, "Sam, don't laugh. Try not to geek out. This is ridiculous because I'm a big Star Wars fan." And I'm like, "Everything's cool." And so I give it back to him, and I couldn't make eye contact, and I walk away. And I was like, "This is some shit, right?" So about an hour into it, he comes looking for me. And because I'm the manager on duty, and so he comes looking. He goes, "Is there anywhere I can leave the building to get fresh air without having to leave the building?" Right? That was the question. I was like, "Huh? Yes, we have an exposed fire exit, which is just open. In the event the fire smoke goes out that area." I said, "You can go." And so I walked him over. I gave him my keys. I said, "When you're done, just give it to any one of my guys, and they'll get it back to me." He says, "Thank you, Sam." So whatever. So now I'm in the camera room. It's 4 in the morning, 3, 4 in the morning, and I'm like, and I hear my number, NY10. I was New York 10. Can you come up to the exit and the employee entrance? So I come upstairs, and Harrison Ford is there, and he says, "Sam, I didn't want to give you keys to just anybody. Thank you so much. Is there anything I can do?" I said, "If you can take pictures with my guys, that'd be great." And all my guys were just lined up to take pictures with him, and he did it. And 4 in the morning, and he's tired. He's been filming since 6 p.m. And
that's awesome.
yes, and it was a great story. Great guy.
Yeah, and it's awesome when you have those experiences because sometimes you hear people say, "Oh, you don't ever want to meet your heroes. You don't want to ever meet your heroes or any of your big time actors because a lot of times they turn out to be dicks." Yeah. And it's great when the exact opposite happens. You run into them like the nicest people in the world. Yeah, that's like I got to meet Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell when they did that absolutely terrible movie that they did that I don't even remember the name of. Together. The other guys, yeah. See, isn't it bad that you knew exactly what movie I'm talking about?
Corny is my middle name.
Yeah. I mean, it was funny, but it was just like, my God, But so, they had this contest going on, and you had to go online every day and vote for your city to win the contest. And St. Louis won like by a landslide. Like we tore it up. Like apparently everybody wanted them to come here. And so it was so funny. They gave him like a key to the city, and Will Ferrell gets up on stage and he's like, "I'd like to thank everybody for this key." He's like, "Now I'm gonna have to buy me a fat chain so I can rock this bad boy around my neck." And I mean, it was funny, but it was really cool. They were walking, down the red carpet up to the stage, and they were stopping and shaking hands with everybody, and they stopped and talked to me, and I got like video of it, and I don't even know what the hell happened to it because that was back when like Motorola Razr was the fad before iPhones came out. But yeah, that was like my one big time opportunity that I met a movie star that I can remember anyway. But I was just like, at first I was just frozen. I was like, You know, you
Yeah,
like
you get that way. I mean, Harrison Ford did it to me. Stanley definitely did it to me. I mean, he was just like an icon for me, and so, but I vowed never to let it happen again.
what's up, Jonathan? Thanks for joining in, buddy.
Johnny boy.
So you did the Big Apple Comic Con, and so like
That set it off. And so now, you know, George and I was talking about this the other day. I always have these great giant plans, right? So now we like, all right, we want to go cross country. We want to hit as many cons as possible. We're doing like almost 14 a year. It was ridiculous, blowing money. And so we were, when we traveled, we weren't the big fish anymore because we felt like the big fish at the Big Apple Comic Con. We felt like we were home. That was our safety net. That was where our loyal fans were. That's where we made all of our friends, a lot of friends that we're still friends with today. But when we traveled, it was very different, and each show was different. And but we wanted to try to get our stuff into people's hands. We self-distributed our stuff. We were thankful for Midtown Comics, who carried our books. A lot of local shops carried our books, and we did everything grassroots way. And then I was on a promotional, like I was beasting. And so what I would do is I would sit down and I would, back in those days, I'd create all of these press kits and I mail them out. So every week I mail 10 press kits a week. And I said, all right, if I send 105 respond, we're good. And I'm saying I send it to like editors of New York Times, Daily News. I mean, I was radio stations. And so we had bites. I was on Fox Affiliate News in San Diego Comic-Con. They invited me to the station. I was on Good Morning San Diego, and I was on another show on Preview Day because of those efforts. We were on a lot of radio shows, American Latino TV, which is global. So, and it was because of, I was like, you know what? If I can find your name and where you are, you're going to be the person I'm going after. And I would hit them until someone says, you know what? We want to interview you. I'm like, yes,
yes, scored one.
Yes. And so I was we were on this ride. And it was tearing. The reason why I left, and I'll get that in a minute. The reason why I left comics is because it became a burden to the family, because that was all I did. I worked full time, but then when I was home, I was in my studio till 2 a.m, and then go right back to work, then go back into the studio.
Yeah, it's hard to leave a full-time job and also work on comics and do art and then send out press kits.
And then alienate your family,
Yeah.
And
well,
so,
I mean, back then, you didn't have a lot of this, Facebook and all this stuff. You had to constantly mail stuff out, and you had to wait for answers and replies, and you had to beat down people's doors to promote your stuff. You couldn't just go on Facebook and be like, "Hey, we got this project. Check it out."
It wasn't just that. I mean, we thought of everything. I mean, we wanted the best table. Hello there. We wanted the best setup, so we got like cardboard cutouts of our characters, life size. We had these big, giant, 8-foot wide by 10-foot high banners. I mean, we went crazy, and so we wanted like the flashiest setup so that we could draw the traffic. And one of the things that made us stand out also was the fact that we were engaging and standing and with everybody. And if you ever went to the show, you'll see George and Jonathan in the front of the table, and it's either me and Anibal doing commissions or selling. All right, but we're all standing or working. The only time we're sitting is when we're commissioning, or if there's a lull and the traffic has died out because there's somebody doing up signing, or there's a panel somewhere where everybody ran off to. So, there was a point where we were eating with our eyes. My mom always said that, right? So she says, you eat with your eyes. It's like when you see your mom cooking, you're like, man, that looks delicious. I want everything, but you can't eat everything, but you just want everything. So it's like you eat with your eyes. She goes, no, eat what I give you. And then if you want more, you get a second serving. So what we were doing, we were overshooting, right? Because, we wanted to take over the world. And we lugged that crap around. We also lugged all that stuff with us wherever we went, whether it was San Diego, whether it was Seattle, Washington, whether it was Chicago, wherever we went, we had all this stuff with us. And there was a point where, at a point where it was becoming a burden. But the reason why I created a podcast was it was just podcasting was just starting and people was trying to figure out what it was. And I went to a pod camp. It was at the New Yorker Hotel. It was why podcasting is going to be the future, right? And so when I went there, I was like, oh snap! And then I got interviewed on Fanboy Radio, and I was like, I can do this. So I went to Sam Ash, got my mixer, got my mics, and I said, "Yo, George, would podcast?" He was like, "What?" I was like, "This is the next level." I said, "So now we're gonna reach people we can't reach, and we're gonna interview people." We interviewed, I forgot his name, the artist behind the Gargoyles, the animated series. We interviewed the art director and artist behind the Boondocks. We interviewed Neil Adams. We were interviewing Brian Polito, everybody. And we were becoming that destination. And at that time, we didn't understand the hits. We were getting 10,000 views. All that. We didn't understand that crap, right? So we just know that people like what we're producing. And then it got to a point where it created a strain in the home, and I had to make a choice, and so I decided to walk away, and I left. I disappeared. Didn't even make an announcement. I was just gone. So everybody's like, "Whatever happened to Sam? He's somewhere in Pakistan in some sort of cell."
They kidnapped his ass and they locked him up. Like, what the hell happened, man? Yeah. He just gave up and walked away. I mean, not give up, but everybody understands. Family is key. And when doing something you love gets in the way of that, sometimes you have to call it quits. And it's trying to find a happy medium with being able to be successful at what you love to do and cut down on what you don't love doing, like, in your normal job. Yeah. And I understand that wholeheartedly, man. I've been working between 55, 60 plus hours a week the last 4 weeks. And so, my Kickstarter just funded. So I went from having free time to sit down and work on stuff and order stuff and do that to like, I'm like cramming things. I get home, I eat dinner with the family. I'm like cramming this stuff, trying to get it done. And then I realized like my edited copy of the book got corrupted. And so I had to go back to the copy I got back from the editor and re-edit 191 pages. Oh. And so for 6 days straight, I worked 14 hours at work, came home, worked on the book till 11 o'clock. I went to bed around 11:30, midnight, got up at 3 o'clock, went to work the next day. And so by the time Friday rolled around, everybody thought like I had died or something because I wasn't online at all. I wasn't on any of the live streams because I'm always sharing people's stuff out and, jazzing people in the chat because like, when I'm coming in, I'm about to start some shit. And so, everybody's like, hey, what happened to Russ? And I'm like, dude, it's been crazy. I bet, and so it gets to be a lot, and podcasting's not easy either. You got to try to find people and set up dates with them and, figure out, what they're working on now or what they've worked on and line up stuff and make sure, like today I get on and the freaking computer crashes. So you gotta fire your producer 100 times.
Yeah. I fired Herb all the time. That boy's always on unemployment. Yeah, but no, and that's
the stars coming through a hole.
And kudos to Mark because Mark, he had a radio show back then that we were on. He's one of the first radio shows we were on, but he was the first interview I did when I decided to come back into the game. Back in 2019. I just did the Kids Comic Con. So Alex, I forgot his last name. He runs the Kids Comic Con, and I used to do it back then. And and every time we were at the Kids Comic Con, we were always on the news. And so when I finally, when everything settled and we moved in to our new home, I had all this gear and all this equipment, and I told my wife, I said, look, I said, I can't live with myself if I I have that what would have happened, um, because one thing I left out was back then. Um, there was there was another reason why I left is because we were represented by Circle of Confusion Management, who represented Robert Kirkman, and got him the deals with The Walking Dead and everything. So we're on the same management, went to the same after parties, and they were representing There's Nail in My Toilet, which was my comic book at the time. And we were this close to having a deal with either the Kids WB or Disney, and then leadership changed both studios, and so our stuff just went under the carpet. So that left a bad taste on top of everything else. So I just felt like, you know what, I'm wasting my time because I was just burning money. We were always in the red, and we always the output was more than the intake. So that was another reason why. And then I just said, look, I'm smarter than I was back then. You know, I'm hungry. I know I can do it. I just want your support. And she said, go ahead. And it was just like when Adrian tells Rocky, go ahead. I was like, what? That's all you have to say. So George and I met up at the Kids Comic Con. And then he brought back some of the Cosmic Gorf, the poster board that I had, the stand-up cardboard cutout. And we started talking. I said, yeah, I want to bring the podcast back. You down? And he was like, yeah, hell yeah. So I was like, all right. So I spent a few months prior to just understanding what changed in the industry, because everything changed. Back when we were doing the podcasting, we had big camcorders. And I had these connecting devices that changed it to video to go into your computer, and I had all these stupid things, and had all these big cassette tapes, and it was very different back then. And so I was like, I started looking at what's changed in the industry. I changed my equipment. I changed my mixer to the Rodecaster Pro, and I went and got my webcams instead of the big camcorders. And I still have those camcorders, and start setting it up. And we said, let's go. And we launched the first one. If you look at the first episode, how raw it was compared to now, but it was exciting. And I just said, look, and this is one of the reasons why the Crazees came to fruition, because back in the days we were hot as podcasters. We come back, not right. So it's like,
yeah, you're a big fish in a little pond, and then you come back and you're a little fish in a giant freaking
we're finding
ocean.
Nemo. Hey,
Yeah.
What the hell's happened, right? And so the market saturated, and like, oh man, algorithms have changed, and it became that much more competitive. So we were like, how we're going to, number one, how do we go back? How do we get the guests? And number two, it's how do we build that listener base? So we just settled on, let's just create great content, and whatever happens, happens. And so, and that's what we did. We just focused on, and we structured our show, right? So we had an open, middle, and end. We get your med segments. We now we added in the news segment. We also have the you've been plugged segment at the end, and so we just try to create structure where we have that open banter. We have a topic we discussed, and we have the guest, and we have the end discussions, and we just wanted it that way. And each time I'm constantly reinventing the show, the look, the feel, because there was a time when we were asking ourselves, do you think we look too polished when we look at all the indies? Do we think we look too polished? We look too professional? And I was like, look, that's how we've always been. We've always wanted it to look different. I just didn't want to put a camera. I wanted to have all the bells and whistles. That's just always been my thing. It came from my mom. It's about setting the table, right? It's like Thanksgiving. The house looks amazing. The china's out. Everything looks beautiful, right?
The crystal gravy boats on the table.
Yes, and then you kill it with the meal, right? And so that's what we did. And it got we've been so fortunate that a lot of the cats that we started out with are supporters of us, and then we've created this foundation, this network in the indie community that's just amazing. And I support 100% true indies. Like, you won't see a Marvel guy on my show. It'll be true independents that are doing things for themselves, whether it's in music or movies or comics. It's not just comics. And that's what I wanted to do. I was like, you know what? A lot of indies talk about being indie, but we're not going to spend the whole day talking about um, all of the mainstream stuff. We're not going to do that. We're going to talk about how to grow your business as an independent, how to avoid certain pitfalls as an independent. You know, we'll share lessons learned, and that's what we do. And so we've been fortunate. This year really took off. You know, our shows are recorded through the end of July, so we put a pause on guests. Because if you're going to become a guest on a show and you don't have a campaign immediate right now, you're not going to air till August because everybody else is already in the pipeline. So instead of doing that, we said, all right, there's a lot of campaigns that are hitting us up saying, hey, I have a campaign. Can I get them on the show? Can you get, so say, we'll go live. We'll support your campaigns until we get caught up. In July, we'll start recording our August guests. So we've been fortunate in that aspect where what we've done, the fruits of our labor is starting to pay off. And, you know, we're heading in the direction that we anticipated we would. And I knew it was going to take some time. I said, look, that first year is the growing pains. That second year, it's putting into practice what you've learned from the first year, and you're going to see the benefits of it. And I use that from the business aspect of it because I measure everything in quarters. So I looked at it, it's like, all right, each quarter, what were some of the benefits? What were some of the learnings? What were the pitfalls? And then I do a SWOT analysis, right? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And saying, all right, where are we good at? What is our biggest threat? You know, what do we need to do?
Biggest threat's when that Star Wars kid comes on as a guest and blindsides you.
No, it's like
you know what this a-hole did to me?
I need to see a photo of every celebrity that's going to be at a con, just in case. Who's this? Who's this? I don't want to destroy your career.
Hey, remember that one time at the Big Apple Comic-Con when I came up and asked you what your book was about?
Crazy. But you know what? When we were at Pittsburgh Comic-Con, I knew who Ernie Hudson was. So Pittsburgh Comic-Con, we're walking in the morning. It's like 8 in the morning before the con opens. It opened at 10. So we get there early. And Ernie Hudson's walking alongside him. It's like, hey. He's like, hey. And I was like, you know, you're Ghostbusters. You're Oz, right? He's the freaking warden in Oz. So we start walking. He goes, you know, where's your booth? I said, over there. He says, you mind if I join you for breakfast? So he brings his breakfast over, and we're sitting there talking. Then he says, awesome. He's there with me, George, and I think it was Anibal. Then he says, hey, how much are your books? I want to buy them. I said, how about this? You take a picture with us, I give it to you for free. And that's what he did. And so I knew who Ernie Hudson was. So just want to put that out there. I'm just not ignoring everybody.
Yeah, I got you. So you were doing all your SWOT analysis and all that going through.
Yeah, so that's I approach what we do as a business. I study a lot of coding. I study a lot of I'm trying to master the algorithms of what's happening out there. I go in, George. I set up a screenshot. All you saw was numbers and symbols on my screen because I'm trying to dissect things, and I'll get into these moments. It'll take me all day because I really want to really master the reach. What are you laughing at?
He said Ghostbusters 1, Star Wars 0. You're talking about numbers, and he's putting up zeros and ones, you know? So I thought it was hilarious, you know? And I mean, you know, you're talking about your screens, nothing but numbers. It's like everybody thinks Sam's getting ready to enter the Matrix or something over there. He's got a blue pill on one side and a red one on the other.
When I get obsessed about something, you can't stop me. And that's one of the things is like, I've always been that kid. But why, mommy? Why does this work this way? Why does it have to be this way? And if you had one up on me, I needed to know what you knew. That's how I was. And so that's where my competitive nature comes into play. I just don't like not knowing. And I don't want to be dependent on somebody. So if I'm outsourcing, I need to understand the jargon when I'm talking and understand what the output is and what the end result looks like so I can direct. So that's how I've always been. I'm just anal that way. George is the more relaxed guy. I'm the more guy like no.
George is like, hey, let's do this thing. You're like, wait, we got to do this, and this, and then we got to do this, and then we got to say this, and then we got to do this, and we got to beat that algorithm. And George is like, okay, you do all that, and I'll just sit here and look pretty while you're doing it.
That's why he's a dreamer. Just look pretty.
So you guys started the podcast again, and you're like, how are we going to do this? You're dissecting everything, and then you come up with the idea for the Crazees. So
yeah. So it was over a glass of Jack Daniel's Honey Tennessee whiskey, and it was a long night. I was sitting by myself in the dark, and I didn't realize when I created the Crazy Man, I created these skits, and it started with Stop Acting Up. And I say that all the time. And so I did a skit where I'm talking to my imaginary friend to stop acting up because I was trying to catch the craze. And so one night I'm sitting there, I was like, you know what? I really want to take podcasting to the next level. And I was sitting there, I was like, wait, hold on, catch the craze. I was like, wait, that's it. So I started fleshing out the characters. And I started saying that's when early on people started seeing promos, Are You Crazy Enough? And the countdown. And so I started giving them these names. And one of the things that I do when I'm creating characters, I become the character. And I become the voice of the character, and I get all the mannerisms of the character. So I'm a little goofy that way. And so I was like, all right, I hated the look that I was coming up with for the character designs. So I was like, damn, I'm just not getting the right look. So I remember an artist that I commissioned a decade ago who did a kid's book for me called The Adventures of Cosmic Gorf. And his name is Maciek Empro, and from Poland. And I was like, I'm going to see if he's still available, if he's still around. And I found him, and I was like, hey, I need these characters designed in your style. And I sent him everything. And he sent me back the characters. And I was like, yo, George, we got a comic book. And we said, he's like, what? I said, it's going to be our story. And he's like, but with a twist. And then we started talking. And he loved the idea, and then we started talking, and then it started growing from there. And then once the entire premise was done, I said, George, you want to write the script? And George was surprised because I'm a control freak, and so he was surprised that I was going to just let somebody else write the script. And he's like, yeah, sure. So George started writing the script. He sent me the first draft. I gave him my notes, and I sent it back to him. He did the revisions. Then we did a table read together, and that's how we do every issue. And when we sitting there laughing, and we started telling our story on how we started in comics, and we walked away, and we got back together, and how we were hot at one point, and we're not, and we want to be the best podcast in the universe. And there are these guys that are taunting us, called We Are the Craze. They stole a play off of our name, and so they have all these names that they call us and all that other stuff. And so we're dealing with those knuckleheads. And then I decide to go into the woods and challenge the universe to help us be the best podcast in the universe. And that old adage, be careful what you wish for, lest it come true. The universe answers, but they got jokes. So hence, here comes in issue 3. What you're going to learn in issue 3 is the Crazy Man, who comes from elsewhere. That's the realm. And there's 7 levels of the realm. And he's on level 3. He wants to graduate to level 4. But in order to do that, he needs to get enough tokens. In order to get tokens, he has to do something where it gives him that recognition. So he convinces the elders to allow him to take the Crazies, which was on level 1, which is the most chaotic level. It's where you're forming your identity, and it's the most chaotic, where the most unorthodox, diabolical entities roam. So he convinces them to let him take the Crazies with him to Earth. They think it's a bad idea, but it's like, all right, go ahead, do it. So
heck yeah, this is gonna be like a reality TV show for
us. He thinks he can control them. And then he thinks he's fitting in on Earth because he's got the bell bottoms and the platform shoes. And so he gives them microphones because he associates our podcast with mics and headsets. And so he unleashes the Crazies. And the Crazies, no one can see them other than the Crazy Man and Sam at the time, and no one can see the crazy man but Sam for the time being. And so they wreak havoc on the population by bopping them over the head, and then you become a zombie. You're addicted to our show.
That's why I stopped here, man. I love the little crazy dude with the microphone. That guy's like, "Oh God, no!" He's like, "Oh yeah, I got a microphone for you, buddy."
So then it takes off and it becomes this full blown conspiracy because officials are trying to figure out why people are walking around like zombies, and then why they're addicted to our show, and it takes off from that. I don't want to give too much away, but that's where it gets crazy. So now, we benefit from our rank just going up and our subscriber base just like quadrupling. I mean, it's just like we're getting thousands and thousands of subscribers, and we're celebrating. Then we realize, wait, something's wrong, and then we have to try to catch the crazies.
And I love this here. This is like the magical school bus on
Yes.
like drugs, man. It's all like cranked up. It's like Bigfoot and the magic school bus had a baby,
Yes.
and Starship Enterprise.
Yeah. So that's the story. We're excited. We made our goal in 2.5 days, which is pretty awesome, and we have 27 days to go. We have some amazing incentives. In fact, a few people watched our live show where we showed my homage to Action Comics #1, and so that became a request. Are you going to have that available? So we made that a perk, and we also made there's limited to 3 11x17 original art of the Crazees by me. And we already sold 1 of the 3, and so there's only 2 left on that level. So we're excited about this. So our goal now, the stretch goal is to get to 50 backers. Our ultimate goal is to get 100 backers. So the most we've done was 68 or 64, 68. So we want to get to 100 backers, but our first stretch goal will be unlocked based on the 50 backer mark. And so that's what we're working on. So that's the homage cover to Action Comics. #1 that was requested because they saw it on the live show, and we weren't sure what we were going to do with that, and then until it was requested.
And there's some guy, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, all right. Come to their eyes.
and then there's the guy that just sits there and looks pretty.
That's the dreamer.
That's the dreamer right there.
Yeah. Yeah, so so we're hoping to get. I think we're at 22 backers. We're hoping to get to 50 to unlock the first stretch goal, and then we're also partnering with Diggins McDougal, who has the Nefarious Smiths on Kickstarter, and so we both have a stretch goal of $2,500. If we make that stretch goal, our backers will get a PDF copy of his book, The Nefarious Smiths. And same thing on his. If he makes his stretch goal of $2,500, his backers will get a copy of Catch the Crazees #1 PDF as well. So we're doing a cross promotion between the two of us.
Yeah, so we definitely want to help share this out, guys, because I think this project looks phenomenal. When George started talking about it, and I talked with Jonathan about it, and almost a month ago, I was like, "This sounds awesome." I can't believe I haven't heard about it before. And so I was super excited. And you guys did the launch show, and I was like, yes. Of course, I got home late that day, so I hopped in late. But I was like, man, this sounds so awesome. I was excited for you guys to launch it. I was hoping to be #1. That's the other cool thing, too, I wanted to bring up. I don't want to forget to talk about it, is whatever backer number you are on this campaign, you get a printout with your picture and your backer numbers. It's basically a COA stating you were backer number 7, whatever you are, which is really cool. You don't hear a lot of campaigns do that.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we pride ourselves in is the customer service, right? Because we look at our backers as customers. So, an example of that is that we had one of our backers. We had his item from the first campaign returned to me twice. I shipped it twice, and it got returned twice. So I could imagine how frustrating that is for anybody. So what I did was George met up with him, and I gave him issue 2. As you know, what I know this was inconvenient to you somehow for some reason they just weren't delivering it. Whether it was a wrong address or not, it doesn't matter. It's I know you backed us and you wanted it on time and you didn't get it on time, so we're giving you this for free. And so that was one of the things that we want to make certain, and that we've always gotten everything out to everybody early. So if we said it's cut, you're going to get it in April, we got it to you in March. We always try to get it beat that clock, because we don't want that stigma that a lot of indies get on campaigns where they're always late. We want to be early. We want to surprise you, and we give you clear communication on every step of the way, the whole way through, so that every phase that's happening, and because it's important that you are satisfied with what you've purchased from
Well,
us.
and people want to be in the loop too. I mean, and things happen, and people understand that. But when you don't communicate, hey, COVID happened, the printer's backed up. Yeah, cool. People are going to understand that. But
I'm
when,
still waiting for stuff that I backed and that ended last year in the fall.
yeah,
And that it was supposed to be delivered in January. So it's those things, like we don't want to ever have that happen. I was talking to you about Forbidden, where I said everyone would get it in May, but I was trying to get it to him in April, but the printer took a month to get it back to me, and that was very frustrating on my part because I wanted to be early with that one.
and so now the stuff you wanted it shipped early too, because you got all the stuff you're working on now. So now you got
Yes.
to put your stuff now on hold to
Yes.
get this out the door and make sure it's out on time, and
Yes.
it throws your whole timeline off. When
Yes.
you
But if you're
plan
watching you back Forbidden, it's going out and shipped tomorrow. So you're getting all your stuff.
on time still.
Yes, it's still in May. I said May, but I wanted it to be early. And I
Yeah.
feel that way because we had a backer who didn't pick a level, but was very generous with his pledge. So what I did was I said I did an 11x17 original art, and it was the cover of one of the Crazees. I gave him the original art. I framed it. Plus, I framed the pinup colored version, signed it, shipped it as a thank you. Didn't have to, but the fact that the person went above our tiers because they wanted to support, I was like, you know what? This warrants me saying, you know what? I truly, truly appreciate what you just did.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and those little things make the biggest difference.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, a lot of people, will come in and put down money on it, and they don't pick a tier, and it's really awesome, for people to step it up like that and say, hey,
Yeah.
I appreciate you. Let me do something for you,
Yes.
and a little bit goes a long way, and that's awesome.
Yeah. It's those small things, and it goes back to my time in retail, and it's always about service. It's always about that person.
Unless you're Hillary Swank.
I'm so sorry. I love your movies.
Unless you're Hillary Swank, then you're just shit out of luck.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, we're closed, ma'am.
I know.
Oh, that's great. I know I'm a terrible person. I shouldn't have brought that up.
Nah, that's all right. No, I mean it happens. I mean, I share those stories all the time. But they it's amazing because it's funny. True story is I was like, she looks like my cousin, and I was like, I was trying to figure out, is she? Nah, because I haven't seen my cousin in years. So like, she looks like my cousin, but I avoided it until I got that on my earpiece. I was like, oh man, I screwed that one up, but that's fine. I'm sure she's like, that son of a bitch. Does he not know who I am?
Well, at least you didn't pull that card. Do you know who I am?
Yes.
I'm Hillary Swank. I'm the swankiest. Let me in. No, I'm just kidding.
John is crazy. I was reading Jonathan's comment. Jonathan, you think I have grandiose ideas? Actually, the crazed trading cards is on the fourth campaign, not on this one.
Hold on just a second. I'm sorry.
We're experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by. So, should I sing? Yeah, I know. Imagine. Do you like acting?
I apologize for that.
It's all right. I was about to go break into song.
At least you didn't ask if Hillary liked acting or karate. So we talked about your stint in comics and your podcasting and a little bit about Catch the Craze. So what else do you into? Do you like anime, video games? You have any
No,
hobbies?
my hobbies is creating. I Nerds It Around, another podcasters, good friends of ours. They wanted us on the show to talk about Winter Soldier. Like, I don't get time to watch TV, so I had to freaking figure out how to watch this to be able to have that conversation with them on the show. So I said, all right. So I watched it while I was working out. So I would have it playing on my iPad because I have a setup in my basement, and I would work out watching it so I can get caught up so I can actually carry a conversation with them. But I don't get much time because when I get up at 7, I feed the dogs, I go work out, I take them out, I have breakfast with my wife, and then I come into the studio. I don't leave. I roll out of here around midnight and I go into the living room because I don't want to wake my wife and go upstairs, and I'll just go onto the couch. And so I'll go under the couch. It'll take me an hour to unwind and fall asleep. So around 1 o'clock. And then I get back up at 7 and do it all over again. So I look at, unfortunately, this is the reason why I look at, if I'm every time that I'm wasting doing something that I shouldn't be doing, that's not creative, someone else is taking a position that I should have been getting, or someone's moved ahead another inch, and that should have been my inch. So that's where I look at it. So I try not to get caught up and waste countless hours because we don't do shows on anything on television or anything or movies. So that's not my niche. So there's no reason for me. When I go to lay down in the living room at midnight, I'll put the TV on, but all it does is help me go to sleep. Because the whole time I'm looking at social media. So the TV's on, but I have my phone in front of me, and I'm laying on the couch, and I'm just scrolling. And so the TV's on, and my wife's like, "Which one you gonna have on?" And I'm like, "I was like, whatever." So I really don't have much time. So what I like to do is I walk the dogs. In the summer, I love to go to the beach. That's it. But most of my time is either, if it's not podcasting, it's drawing. If it's not drawing, it's producing. Whether it's producing soundtracks or videos or editing content or networking. I have my days broken out into segments. So I'll start off in the morning with social media. Then I'll go and I'll start editing videos of previous guests. Our sponsors, I'll merge their sponsorship videos with our videos. You know, I have segments where I'm just outreaching, trying to connect with the right people in the industry. So there's like things that I do. So I just look at any time I don't away from that, I'm wasting. So, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of movies I would love to watch, but I just can't because I don't want to give myself that time to do it.
Oh, come on, man. You can't be all work and no play.
No, I said, well, you know what? It's you know what the screw up thing is, right? So since I've been a brokepreneur since December 5th, right? So my company went out of business, and I've been working since I was 12 years old. So I worked for this organization. They went out of business, went bankrupt due to COVID, a whole bit. So that was my opportunity. We had a family discussion. They said, go after your dreams. So I said, all right, I'm going to go after my dreams. You can get by this length of time. And so go give it your all right. So I've been working since December 5th, nonstop. The one time I decided to go meet friends for lunch, because the furthest I go is to either Whole Foods or to the local comic shop. Every 2 weeks, I'll go to see what's new from the indies. So which is only about a few down the road. I go, it's a half-hour drive, 45-minute drive, and I'm at a light, and I get rear-ended, full force. This is the moment I leave the damn house to go meet with some friends, and their car was totaled. They just busted up my rear bumper. But we plan on with a bus markup. We plan on deciding what celebrity to ignore. I know, right? We plan on it in October going to Texas because every year we go and we do a fundraiser for animals with the SPCA.
Okay.
And it's a black tie event, and it's a big, huge fundraiser. So every year we do that. But right now, because my wife and I have been unemployed. My wife, because she's in the film industry, that took a huge hit.
Yeah.
And so now she is just finally going back to work on Monday. But she's been out since last March, and I've only been out since December 5th. And so that puts us in a better position because it gives me a little more flexibility. Um, but right now, my whole focus is building this. There's nothing more important right now to me than securing my goals.
No, I understand that, man. I understand that. That's how I was last year with, Zen on Anytime. I was, doing this show, doing my book, working on this, updating everybody, getting art made up and, you know, sending them the pieces and trying to guide them and say, I mean, that was a nice thing about doing the book, for the artists is I'm like, hey, you have free reign, do how you see this character would look. Because I wanted a whole bunch of different viewpoints of it. But I know how it is, all work and no play
Yeah.
while you're getting things off the ground. But hopefully we can get you to that happy point.
Well, the PowCon, we're going to be at PowCon at the end of the month. That's where I get to play. So I'm looking forward to it. It took some convincing to get George to do it. Um, um, he feels good. He feels good now because he got his vaccines. So we're gonna do PowCon and we're going to host a panel. So we're going to be hosting a podcasting panel and live stream from PowCon, and I'm excited about that because that's where I draw my energy from, and it's gonna feel good to do an event. 'Cause I only did Kids Comic Con and White Plains Comic Con when I first decided to get back into comics, and I didn't make San Diego on time or New York. So this year I applied for New York. I'm waiting to hear back from them. I'm definitely going to do that. We're doing PowCon, and I'm looking at doing I forgot the name of it. It's in Connecticut. It's in July. Um, it's a nice big event, and so for me, that's where I get to play. That's where I get to play, and so we're excited. Hosting a panel, we're gonna have a contest. So all you artists out there, we're having an art contest. The deadline is the 28th of May.
All right, I'll get my stick figures ready.
Yeah, show us your best versions of the Crazies, and the winners will be announced live at PowCon. And we're also going to have raffles at the event at the panel. So join us for that. It's going to be fun, and we'll be in Artist Alley as well.
And also, everybody who's watching this now or watching this back later, we are starting a fund to hire a celebrity to come in and see if Sam knows who they are.
I have all the pictures. I have all the pictures of who's going to be there. I'm good.
And we're going to...
That's what it is. Terrificon.
Terrificon, yeah. Yes. Terrificon's awesome from what I hear. I wanted to go...
I looked at the guest list and said, I have to go there. So it's a 2-hour drive. I was like, you know what? Maybe I just drive 2 hours each way a day. We'll see.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes it's cheaper than a hotel, especially in big cities.
When you're a brokepreneur.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you figure it's not just, the hotel either. A lot of these big cities, when they have these events, unless you tell them, hey, I'm part of this con, sometimes they cut you a deal like C2E2. They'll cut you deals if you tell them that you're with a con, but you're still paying, $159 a day plus breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it's just, it gets insane. So I mean, it sucks being a creator and going to these cons and being like, all right, I have to make $200 today to even break even on my table and the travel and the hotel, and so it's hard for creators. And that's why I always preach, if you go to a con and you go to somebody's table and you see something you like, buy something from them. You don't have to spend $100 with them, but buy something for $5 or $10 because that adds up. You buy a cheap print from them that you think's cool or something like that, you're helping them pay their table fees for the day and getting their name out there. And some of these people are new creators that nobody's ever even heard of.
Yeah, and I think that's for me, the great thing about there's pros and cons. I think you're if you have your head down the whole time, like for me, I try to get the commissions out before I get there. So I take commissions before I get there, and then if you're there for the whole weekend and you want commissions, I'll give it to you on Sunday. So this way I can focus on the people in real time. I don't want to have my head down the whole time I'm there. because it defeats the purpose of being there. I can draw when I'm at home. And so I think that's one of the things, and I'm looking forward to it. And it's going to be different, with the social distancing and everything else. But I'm looking forward to it. And I want to do at least 3 events this year. PowerCon's the first one. I want 2, one more in the summer and one in the fall. And but next year I'm definitely doing San Diego Comic Con.
Hey man, December C2E2.
Yeah, no, if I do New York Comic Con, that's
Oh, you're gonna do in New York in December. I gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, well, cool, man. I don't want to take up a whole lot of your time. I know you're a busy, man. You got that, stuff to crank out. You got some promotion to do for that Catch the Craze issue 3. I'm gonna give you the big screen, give you a chance to tell everybody once again who you are, where they can find you, and give them the elevator pitch for Catch the Craze one more time for anybody that missed it.
All aboard. I'm Sam the Crazy Man, and this is Catch the Crazees. If you're a fan of Comic Cons, if you're a comic book creator, if you're a podcaster, if you're just a nerd, you're going to love this. If you love the Gremlins, Mallrats, Jay and Silent Bob, you're going to dig this book. So please pledge today. We have amazing perks. We're trying to get to 50 backers. And if we get to 50 backers, every single backer is going to go into a raffle. And one person is going to win a cool prize that's not part of the perks. Check that out. I'm also the creator of Forbidden, which was on Indiegogo, and Forbidden is on its way to all our backers. It's being shipped out tomorrow, so thank you so much. And check out Catch the Craze podcast. We are the heart of the industry. If you love independence and you want some cool talent and you want to get some cool information and hear from the creators themselves, check out Catch the Craze podcast. We are a weekly show. We never miss a day. Every Friday's a new guest. Mondays, the Crazy 10 or Less. Wednesdays, What's in the Box. And then from now and then, you'll get some surprise live shows. So check us out. What's up, Johnny boy? Some does Pilates. I can't hear you, Russ.
I was like, oh yeah, I had to throw that up there. Jonathan's trying to distract you while you're giving your elevator pitch there. Sorry, I always mute my mic in case I knock something over on my desk or something while you're giving your. I don't want to be, the rude person in the background. What's that creaky noise chair in the background? So thanks so much for being on tonight, man. I really appreciate you being on. It's really cool stuff. I look forward to. I'm gonna keep promoting and sharing that out, and hopefully we can get you guys to 100 backers.
Yes, that's the goal. 100 backers. Come on, guys. We could do it. Catch the Crazees.
Catch the Crazees. All right, man. Well, I'm going to kick you back to the green room. If you want to hang out for a second, I'll be right back.
Sure.
Everyone, thanks so much for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. I'm going to pop that link in here one more time for Catch the Crazees. For everyone that watched tonight, I appreciate you very much. For everyone who goes back and watches this, I also appreciate you as well. Please check this project out. And as I always preach, if you can't afford to back it, throw $1 at it. Let your friends see it, because people follow you on Kickstarter. If you back it for just $1, everybody gets an email saying, hey, you just backed this awesome project, Catch the Crazees issue 3, and everybody's going to go want to see what it's all about. If you can't afford to do that, at least give it a share. A share is free, and shares go a long way. So please share this project out and help them hit that road to 100. So everyone, as always, this is Russ Explode Studios, projects that'll blow your mind. You guys have a great night.